African countries face numerous challenges as governments and corporations in Europe, North America, and Asia continue to compete for control over Africa and its vital resources. These resources are also vulnerable to environmental risks, and exploitation of local workers, along with other human rights concerns, persist. Recent developments, however, indicate a shift in the region's dynamics. Many African descendant nations have expressed their support for Africa's sovereignty, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Finance Minister Honorable Camilo Gonçalves announced that the government intends to rename several locations in a phased manner as a meaningful step towards decolonization. Iyanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari and Pan-African People, ICAR President Aaron Alexander has called on our government to emulate these efforts, highlighting the need to rename places like George V Park to better reflect our cultural heritage.
And for us as a Rastafarian community, Pan-African people, we've been clamoring and calling for the renaming of George V Park, which is also known as the Gardens. We've been calling for the renaming of this place to change that from George V Park to probably Marcus Garvey Park or Nelson Mandela or even John Quinlan, our own native son, who led the fight in the early 1900s in as far as Pan-Africanism is concerned. So we have persons here and regionally that we could rename those places after. So we need to look into those things, and I'm encouraging the government to do that.
Alexander emphasized that renaming is a way for the government to break its silence on the situation in Africa. He pointed out that exploitation of Africa has persisted for too long and urged our nation to show support and stand on the right side of history regarding this crisis.
We must remember that we are African descendants. Predominantly 85 to 90% of our population are African descendants. So there's something needs to be said so we can know where our region stands on this issue.
Alexander stressed that the government must take a stand, whether individually or collectively through bodies like CARICOM or OECS, asserting that action is necessary. He concluded that something meaningful must be said and done to support Africa's fight for independence and dignity. Under the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, France appears to be gradually losing its influence over Africa, with forces urging French troops to withdraw from countries such as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. To advance their sovereignty, these nations have begun repossessing their resources to foster national development and empower their people. Kayla Edwin, MBC Prime.